Today, we're looking at a teal ink by Monteverde California Teal. Hi, I'm Adam, and I'm an ink guy. I get inks, test them, and share the results with you. Now, there's timestamps down below so that if you are in a hurry, you can skip around. But if you got the time, I'd appreciate you checking out the entire video. You can also follow me over on Instagram, and if you're new here, I would invite you to subscribe. In order to make sure I have a range of experience with this ink, I do the writing samples. I put the ink into this Noodler's Nib Creeper, wrote with it for a day, and then used it to take the notes for this video. I always standardize some of my writing samples by using Clairfontaine, Tomoe River, and Rhodia paper, although I do use more papers, and some of those will be seen later in the video. Now, let's look at the writing sample. I picked this ink up in sample form, so it comes in a vial like this. And to keep my writing samples consistent, I use a Jinhao 159 with a Goulet 1.1 stub, a Jinhao X450 with a Goulet medium, and a Jinhao X750 with a Goulet extra fine. I am sorry, it's a storm outside. My brother's dog that I'm watching is sitting at my feet, breathing at me, and his breath is horrible. So I'm gonna go ahead and have to work past this some. Let's look at the Clairfontaine. We get no bleeding, no ghosting. The 1.1 is no feather spread, halo sheen, or shade. The extra fine is a little bit lighter than the stub with no feather spread, halo sheen, no shade, and 7 seconds to dry. Medium is a little bit lighter than the extra fine with no feather spread, halo sheen. It does offer some very nice shading throughout. You look at quick, starts dark, gets light at the C, very dark at the K. Brown goes from dark to light. Fox goes where it's lighter at the top of the F, darker at the bottom of the F, light into the O, dark at the X. It's very nice. 9 seconds to dry. Now the scrubbies don't show as much color variation, although it looks great in the medium. Tomoe River. No bleeding, normal Tomoe River ghosting. The 1.1 is no feather spread, halo sheen, and no shade. The extra fine is slightly lighter than the stub with no feather spread, halo sheen, or shade, 11 seconds to dry. Medium is the same tone as the extra fine with no feather spread, halo sheen, no shade. Good God, your breath is horrible, dog. Oh. Scrubby for both have no color variation, and we didn't get it in the writing. Rhodia, no bleeding, no ghosting. The 1.1 is no feather spread, halo sheen, and no shade. The extra fine is lighter than the stub with no feather spread, halo sheen, no shade, 7 seconds to dry. Medium is darker than the extra fine, not quite as dark as the stub, with no feather spread, halo sheen, no shade, and 10 seconds to dry. Scrubby for both are showing us no real color variation, and we're not getting any. I agree with Vita that I've learned a lot by doing multiple chromatographies. The one on the left is done the way it's supposed to be done. I put a line of ink down and immediately put it into water for 10 to 15 seconds. And we see this very, very super light green at the bottom. It does not match as a watered down tone of the darker green that we see as we move up. And we see this very rich purple across the top, which really makes me feel like this ink should have some incredible shading, which it doesn't always really have, but that made me say it should. The one on the right, I let dry for 10 minutes before I dunk it into water. Now that is very obviously a minty green. We see it is very obviously a different green than what was higher. So my impressions the first time are being shown here. Now we get a much darker green that's moving up. And then again, that very interesting purple across the top. Resistance tests are done to see how well this ink can be expected to perform on the page, and more importantly, how hard it might be to clean from your pen. I let the smear dry for 3 days before testing it. Looking at the highlighter, there is some spread, there's a lot of feathering, but that lowercase h has a blowout. And you can't drive a car with 3 wheels very far, and 3 out of 4 letters is not good note-taking, so I wouldn't use this in a note-taking situation. Good news here though, water is completely removing this from the paper. Now that's only 30 seconds. We do start to see the white of the paper coming through. So water's all that you're going to need, and it's all that I needed to get it out of my pen. If for some reason it was being stubborn in your pen, Pen Flush does really obliterate this ink. It is almost 100% gone with just sitting
on the page for 30 seconds. 1/3 bleach solution, you're not going to need it, but it does completely remove it.
As far as viscosity or flow, for the inks I've tested, I have found an average viscosity of 2.5, with the realm of normal being from 2.1 to 2.9.
Monteverde's California Teal has a viscosity of 1.43, making this a very wet ink.
To find my average dry times, I use my writing samples done on Clairfontaine, Tomoe River, and Rhodia paper. I average those. Now for the inks I've tested, I have found an average dry time of 17 seconds, with the realm of normal being from 13 to 21 seconds.
Monteverde's California Teal has an average dry time of 10 seconds, making this a faster drying ink. Instead of finding inks that look like Monteverde's California Teal, I would prefer to find an ink that complements its color on the page. And I wanted a nice brown with this, so I went with Diamine Sepia.
The second writing sample is done on TWSBI, Monocoque, and Fabriano paper.
Here we're looking at TWSBI notebook paper. Now we get no bleeding, we get some minor ghosting, it's a thinner paper, lighter. The 1.1 is no feather spread, halo sheen, and no shade. The extra fine is a bit lighter than the stub with no feather spread, halo sheen, no shade, and 6 seconds to dry. Medium is quite a bit lighter than the extra fine with no feather spread, halo sheen, no shade, and 7 seconds to dry. The scrubby for both show us no color variation, and we didn't get any. Monocoque. Monokaki. I still don't know if I can pronounce that properly. No bleeding, very minor ghosting, but it is there. This is a very thin paper. The 1.1 is no feather spread, halo sheen, and no shade. The extra fine is lighter than the stub with no feather spread, halo sheen, and no shade, 8 seconds to dry. Medium is lighter than the extra fine with no feather, no spread, no halo, no sheen, no shade, 11 seconds to dry. Scrubby for both are showing us no color variation, and we're not getting it. Pretty color, just not really getting that shading. Fabriano Echo Qua. No bleeding, no ghosting. The 1.1 has no feather spread, halo sheen, and no shade. The extra fine is a little bit lighter than the stub with no feather spread, halo sheen, and no shade, 6 seconds to dry. Medium is just a hair lighter than the extra fine with no feather spread, halo sheen, no shade, 8 seconds to dry. Scrubby for both show us no color variation, and we got none, and that is all that I have, ladies and gentlemen, for the writing sample. So what do I think of Monteverde's California Teal? There is some color variation that you can get depending on the pen that you choose. There's not a lot of shading, but looking at the tone of this ink, I can absolutely understand why so many people enjoy using it. I enjoyed my time using it. I was happy using up that sample and considering getting a second sample. I don't know that it's a color for me to go after a bottle on though. So what nib and pen will give the best writing experience with this ink? Medium flow, broad, all day. Great color, plenty of it going down, easy to read on the page, easy on the eyes. I put out a new ink review every single day so that if you're not already subscribed, I'm going to remind you, go ahead and subscribe. Thanks for watching.